안녕. Hi everyone. So today is the final day to review graphing absolute value function and inequalities. Make sure to check your independent work. If you find any mistake and fix it, resubmit it. Let's start number 1. What is the first step? That's right, find the vertex. So looking what's inside of the absolute value symbol, that's x plus 6 equals 0. And we're going to solve for the x will be 6. So when x is a negative 6, y value is 0. After you place that in the middle row, you're going to go down the value for your x and get larger number on the below. There you go. Now you're substituting all the x value in order to find corresponding y values. So I'm just to show a few of them. Absolute value with negative 7 plus 6. That will be absolute value of negative 1, which will come out as a positive 1. So this will be 1. That means that when you put negative 5, that will be also positive 1. The second one, negative 8 plus 6, that will be negative 2 of absolute value, positive 2. So I can guess already the next one should be the 3. Remember, when you have the absolute value symbol, it will always come out as a positive number, because I saw some of you guys mistake still have the negative sign after the absolute value. So make sure you don't have those mistakes. Alright, so there is a graph. Now find the domain. Since each side will extend it negative infinity to positive infinity, domain should be x such that all real numbers. Yes, you can write in different notation. We can put negative infinity to positive infinity, that interval notation. The range only expanded to the upside after the 0. So the y, all set of y such that y is greater than or equal to 0. So how we can put as a interval notation? That's right, bracket with a 0 and positive infinity with the parenthesis. On number 2, what's inside of that absolute value? X minus 1. You don't need to worry about that plus 2 in order to find the x coordinate vertex. So set this as a 0, solve for the x, so x equal 1. So put it in the middle row. When x equal 1, y should be 2. So you can see outside of the absolute value, there is a plus 2. That is your y coordinate of the vertex, right? So we found the vertex. That is 1, 2. That is 1, 2 right here. So let's find the rest of the value. So when x is 0, minus 1 with absolute value plus 2, that will be absolute value of negative 1 plus 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. Alright, so that means when x is 2, also y value is 3. Let's move on to negative 1 minus 1 with absolute value plus 2. That's a negative 2 of the absolute value plus 2 will be 4. This will be 4. And you do one more time with the negative 2, that will be, that's right, 5 and 5. Alright, there is a graph. The domain is all set of x such that x is all real number. The y value, do you see the minimum is 2, right? So y such that y is greater than or equal to 2. All right, so hopefully now you understood how to graphing absolute value functions. Now let's move on to inequalities. Remember, all steps to graph is the same as an absolute value function. Only thing you gotta remember, when it has greater than equal or less than equal symbol, you gotta use the solid line. If you don't have the equals bar under there, then you're gonna use the dashed line. Also, where to shade at the end. So let's try. The first step, find the vertex. What's inside of the absolute value symbol? Just x itself. So it was easy to find. When x is 0, the y value is positive 2. So we found the vertex right here. 0, 2, right here. And let's find the rest of the point. When x is a negative 1 plus 2, it will be positive 3. Same as when it's a positive 1. When it's a negative 2 plus 2, there will be 4. And when it's a 3 or negative 3, there will be 5. Since it has an equal bar there, so it will be solid line. It's a little off, but you got that. And now let's evaluate the point. I'm gonna evaluate 0, 0. If when I plug the 0, 0 into my x and y, if that makes true statement, then I have to shade. Very good. The down below of the graph, that include that 0, 0. If not, it's gonna be shade opposite side. So 0 greater than equal to absolute value with a 0 plus 2. So that is 2, right? Is that 2 is less than or equal to 0? No, that is not true. So we shouldn't include that point. So where I'm gonna shade? You're right. I'm gonna shade right here, the opposite side. All right, now let's move on to number 8. So number 8, what's inside of that absolute value? X minus 4 equals 0. So x equals 4. When x equals 4, y is 0. That's our vertex right here. And can you guess, guys, when you have a negative in front of that absolute value symbol, the graph should look like what? That's right, upside down V shape. So let's see. When x is 3 minus 4, and there will be negative with the absolute value of negative 1, which will be negative 1. So this is a negative 1. When x is 2 minus 4, there will be negative, and absolute value of negative 2, it will come out negative 2. And then you can guess, right? So this same as, because we know they are symmetrical. So let's find each point. Since it doesn't have the equal bar, we're gonna use the dashed line. All right. And where are we gonna shade? Yes, I'm gonna evaluate 0, 0 again. I explain why I'm using 0, 0 because it's easy to calculate, right? So minus 0 minus 4, that is equal negative 4. Is a negative 4 is greater than 0? No, it's not. So we shouldn't include that point. That means we're gonna shade the bottom of the graph. There you go. All right, now let's move on to number 9 right here. So it has a 4x plus 1 set as equal to, and so for the x is a negative 1 over 4, or you can even use a decimal as a negative quarter. So that's the vertex, negative 1 over 4. X is a negative 1/4, y will be negative 3. That's the vertex. So negative quarter, negative 3. It's about right here. So let's find the rest of the points. So when x is negative 1, 4 times negative 1 plus 1 with absolute value minus 3. So that will be negative 3 absolute value minus 3. So 3 minus 3, 0. And let's do 4 times negative 2 plus 1, the absolute value minus 3. That will be negative 7 with the absolute value minus 3. 7 minus 3, 4. So this will be 4. And with the 4 times negative 3 plus 1 with the absolute value minus 3, that will be negative 11 with the absolute value minus 3. 11 minus 3, that will be 8. So the other side will be the same. Let's find the point. Since this doesn't have equal symbol, it will be dotted line, and it's narrow than the other graph. I think I mentioned on the other video, the number in front of x that affects either narrower or wider the absolute value graph. So now what we need to do, evaluate. Since we have a 0, 0 right here, I'm gonna choose other point. What about right here? That is x is 2, y is 0. So let me put 0 is greater than absolute value. 4 times 2 plus 1, absolute value minus 3. So 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 minus 3 is 6. Is the 6 is greater than 0? Yes, it is. So that means I'm going to include that point. Shade right these areas. All right, let's move on to the last one, number 10, right here. So what's inside of the absolute value? 3x plus 6 equals 0. So x equal negative 2. So negative 2, when x is negative 2, the y value will be positive 1. So let's find the rest of the point. All right, negative with the absolute value 3 times. I'm gonna using those points for this time. Negative 1 plus 6 with absolute value plus 1. So negative with 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus 6 is a positive 3. Absolute value plus 1. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So it will be negative 2 here, negative 2 there, and minus absolute value 3 times 0 plus 6 with absolute value plus 1. So that will be -6 plus 1 will be -5. So that will be -5. And when it's 1, so negative absolute value 3 times 1 plus 6 and plus 1. That will be negative 3 times 1 is 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 1 is -8. And this will be -8. Since that has an equal bars right there, I can use the solid line. And where we're gonna shade, I can testing 0, 0 right here. So 0 is greater than equal to negative 3 times 0 plus 6 absolute value plus 1. Didn't I find out already earlier? It should be -5. -5 is less than or equal to 0. Yes, it is. So we need to include that point. So we're gonna shade this area. I'm gonna make it bigger right here. All right. So we complete the assignment. If you still have any question, please let me know and make sure you submitted all the assignment from this week. And have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. 안녕.